It's funny you ask. I got this book right on my desk. So, this is the book that really helped me. It's called "How to Hear God's Voice" by Mark and Patty Vickler and Verkler, I think. I've always been a journal kind of person. I've always kept a journal for the majority of my life, um, adult life, and and I'm just going to kind of be transparent and share ways that God was speaking to me even before I gave my life to Him. So, I in college, I I was a pothead, big time, right? And in my freshman year of high school, college, when God was just really trying to reach out to me, there was one time when I was extremely high, and God took control of my pen, and I was writing, and it was just like a letter, and it just kept writing and writing, and and I knew it wasn't me, and in that letter it said things like this. I don't remember everything in the letter, but it said, "Prayers from overseas are writing this letter to you to let you know that you need to get your life together. God has a plan for you," and all this stuff, right? And the prayer from overseas part is because I got family back in West Africa, and I knew they were praying for me. Um, and so that was my journey into hearing God's voice. Was He literally took control of my pen, and from there, as I gave my life to the Lord at 19, which was a whole other crazy story and how I gave my life to the Lord. But I gave my life to the Lord at 19, and I was seeking God to, like, I want to learn and hear you better. I want to know you better. And I came across this resource, How to Hear God's Voice, and it in there it showed me that when you think about the Bible, how was the Bible written? The Bible was written by men and women who were inspired by the Holy Spirit to scribe what the Holy Spirit said, and they wrote it down, and then they confirm it through the Word itself. So I was learning this art to hear the Lord through what I thought, and the Bible talks about how it's a spontaneous river of a spontaneous flow of thought that comes to you. So sometimes there's three areas you're battling. You're like, is that a God thought? Is that a David thought, or my own thoughts, or is that the enemy's thoughts, right? And the way you match it up is you look at the word. Does this match up with the word? Is this aligned with His word? And when I started to build that muscle, I could easily identify, no, that's not my thought. Okay, that's the Lord. Oh, that's just me, And I'd become better at it by just repetition. It's been a I guess you could say a switchblade in my life, right? Because I'll give another example where this really took a hold and impacted me drastically. In 2020, I was in Ghana, West Africa, visiting family and attending speaking at a conference. I got there a little earlier, and this is March 2020. So we all know what happened to the world, the pandemic. At that time, I didn't know what was going on. I just was there and saw that, oh wow, the NBA is canceled. Oh man, if the NBA is canceled, then I know those guys like money. They're not going to cancel the NBA if it's not serious. So I'm getting calls from the organizer. She said, "Hey, David, where you at?" I said, I'm actually in Ghana." She's like, "We've canceled the conference. Uh, sorry." I'm like, "Oh man." I had a flight to come back into the United States. My flight to come back, I barely made it out. I was the last flight going from Ghana into the United States before Ghana closed their border. I was the last flight from Ghana to the United States before the U.S. closed their border. So I would have been literally not. I have family, but still stuck because I got family here too. Um, and I literally got into journaling, because I journaled to the Lord, because overnight I lost 60% of my business. I was doing a lot more in-person delivery back then. So doing a 2-day workshop or intensive or things of that nature, and I delivered in person in Philadelphia. So now I couldn't do that. I lost all these contracts, I lost all these sponsorships, I lost all this stuff literally overnight. In my time of journaling, God said, "You've always been good at webinars. It's time to do webinars." I was like, "What?" Okay. So I got focused back on the webinars, and I did one webinar in 2020. I did one webinar, did like 10K, and then 20, and then 30, and then 40, and then by the time I knew it, we were doing multiple six figures with one webinar. And that one webinar, people saw and they said, David, I saw what you did for yourself. Can you do that for me? That's produced what we do for clients. So I say it's like it's a switch army knife. It's a switchblade. It's a secret weapon for me, right? Hearing from the Lord through journaling, because I literally would not have the business I have today if I didn't hear that word from Him.
Dude, I can't get over how wild some of these stories that we have in common are.
Yeah,
My come to Jesus moment came from one time that I'd smoked pot with some friends,
yeah,
and give you a little bit of context to the story here.
yeah.
I wasn't a big pothead by any means for a very long time, and then I went through the hardest period of time in my life and became so depressed that I couldn't even drink alcohol anymore. And then my friends were like, "Well, try weed." And I was like, I don't necessarily need it, but I did. And then for about a year, I had done it pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that year, I went from where I'm at here in Ohio down to Alabama.
Yeah.
And getting there, um, I had driven, I think, 7.5 hours to get there. That night, hanging out with my friend and a couple other friends of his, we smoked. And all of a sudden, I had this insane experience that no one else had, and we
Mm-hmm.
all experienced, or we all used the same stuff. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the last time that I did it because I was like, it was such a crazy,
Wow.
eye-opening experience, and it literally, like, the only thing that I felt was that I had to get out of Alabama. And mind you, I just drove there that day, and I'm planning to stay for 2 weeks. The next morning, I got up and I drove all 7.5 hours back to go to church because I just,
Wow.
like, I was that compelled to be there. It was crazy.
Wow. That's
Um, and then from being there, I was able to understand a little bit more of where God was calling me, which honestly led all the way to where we're at now at the podcast and everything. So it's pretty crazy. So it's just weird how we both have that same experience. You know what I mean?
so true. That's so true. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you want to save time on watching all the episodes, but still get all the gold nuggets that we find from interviewing these 7, 8, and 9 figure entrepreneurs, then you can get all of that inside of the 2 Comma Club newsletter. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com and subscribe.